It's been said there are two types of people in the world, the kind that like the sound of a bullet hell shooter in the style of a kid's cartoon featuring a human-bear hybrid being chased around by killer bots, and then there are normal, well-adjusted people. We don't do normal or well-adjusted around here, so let's put on our space bear suits and see if this game is for real. See, I wanted to say for real because of the bear thing, but I'm not going to do that to you. Broadside Games is a studio out of Australia, and it says right on their website that they want to make games that no one else would make. Now, that's a worthy goal, and I respect that. And I think they've accomplished that in a good way. Bears in Space is a first-person shooter with platforming, puzzles, and pandemonium in good measure. And you might think there's a panda joke in there, but again, I'm not doing the bear jokes. Besides, we're talking about space bears and killer robots, and a human who just wants to get back to Earth. Now, before we get into it, full disclosure, I received a free review copy of the game through Keymailer. I haven't beaten the game yet, but I have played about 6 hours, so that's why this will be an impressions video versus a full review. So if you want to know what the heck this is, let's jump in. Now, the first word that comes to mind for the gameplay is bonkers. I mean, there are bullets flying and there are enemies sprinting and shooting from all directions, and the name of the game for a lot of it is to just keep moving. It gets super frantic and I find myself just looking for the next cover, just someplace to catch my breath a little bit. And if you know anything about me as a gamer, you know I like to sneak around and take enemies out one by one, slow and methodically, just biding my time. This is not that kind of game. Typically, you enter an area, you run around like hell trying to clear it out, then you hop around and push buttons and try to figure out how to get from point A to point B. There are also hidden secrets sprinkled throughout the level, so you can spend as much or as little time searching for those as you want. You have a double jump and a dash button, so be prepared to use those a lot. I used a controller for the game, which I appreciated during the platforming segments, but I think I might have liked a mouse and keyboard better during the battle frenzies. But you can play it either way, and the controls are very customizable with sensitivity and even a pretty generous aim assist if you want to turn it all the way up. You pick up health and ammo along the way, but you're always just a little bit short, or at least I was always a little bit short on ammo and constantly switching weapons to get around that. You can upgrade the weapons to increase their ammo capacity, but then that's pretty expensive and it doesn't leave you much coin left over to pick up the new zanier weapons like the Anvil Slingshot. I gotta say, the game was charming and I was having a pretty good time with some fairly generic weapons, but once I picked up the really weird stuff, then the game really got interesting. You have blasters and shotguns, of course, but then there's also a bubble shooter and a square basketball and a tongue. But that's the loop. You survive an onslaught, do some platforming, visit a shop. You do that a few times, and then you move on to a new zone. And I'm not trying to say that like it's boring or repetitive, because it's not. The weapon variety is a lot of fun. The locations are a lot of fun. And every now and then you can get a honeypot and you go into like a berserker mode where you just run around smashing stuff. It's a total blast. I loved it. And I got excited every time I saw a honeypot in the distance. There are also mini games that you find along the way, but so far I haven't found any that are genuinely fun or noteworthy. I'd like to give a shout out to the Flak Cannon because it's modeled after the gun with the same name from Unreal Tournament, and blasting out those red hot embers of death really hit me right in the feels. The game is single player only, there's no co-op or multiplayer, which is fine I guess. I mean, it would be nice to clear out an area with a buddy, but then I'm not sure how well those platforming sections would work if you're trying to coordinate with another player. Plus, the story is super deep and I'm not sure how okay, that's sarcasm. I'm sure there's a story in here somewhere. Yeah. You play as Maxwell Adam, a spacetronaut. Is that a word? I don't think that's a word. That has somehow had his DNA mixed with a space bear, and they have to find their way back to Earth to get everything sorted out. Now, I'm sure the game explained it better, but it wasn't important to me. Most of the robots you come across are trying to kill you. Some of them aren't, and some downright like you. I don't really know why, and honestly, I didn't question it. It was pretty easy to tell which ones wanted to kill me, although there was one that was about to do something right before I blasted it by mistake. Now, was it about to do something funny or give me a cool gadget? Who knows? I didn't spend too much time thinking about it. which is sort of the same approach I took to wondering why I have human hands but also bear claws, and sometimes I have extra human hands, and don't think too hard about it. Make stuff go boom, hit some well-timed jumps, and then the rest just falls into place. The game is funny and a lot of scenes are played for laughs, but the humor really comes from the absurdity of it all. It's not full of one-liners or biting humor like in High on Life, but it's also not as annoying. The game has a charm to it. It's not cutting-edge graphics by any means, but it has a kind of a cool style that's somewhere between the 50s sci-fi and like Looney Tunes cartoons. I played this on a PC with a 3080 Ti, a Ryzen 9 5900, and 32 gigs of RAM. I had it hooked up to my TV and it just played smoothly. It played great. I had no issues whatsoever. They're not going for photorealism here, so you don't need to worry about ray tracing and DLSS and all that stuff. The voice acting is silly in a good way, and hey, I don't know what you're expecting out of a $20 game, but it's probably a little bit better than that. Overall, I'd say the presentation is pretty decent, and I have no complaints. Although I couldn't say that about everything. I don't know if income levels jumped significantly later in the game, but from what I played, collecting and upgrading weapons seemed like quite a grind. Ratchet & Clank is an obvious inspiration, and in those games there's always a weapon that's just a little bit out of range, but you know with a little more gameplay you can get it. For me, the collecting and upgrading weapons is a huge part of the gameplay in Ratchet & Clank, and I'd love for that to be a little more accessible in Bears in Space. I'd also like to see a little more enemy variety. There's a bunch of different ways to destroy the bots, but only a few different kinds of bots to deal with. And if you like variety, and you're enjoying this video, then consider subscribing for bite-sized game reviews and commentary for the busy gamer. So the mini games I mentioned earlier, the ones I found were pretty basic and didn't really add much. There was a crime scene investigation that I didn't have to deduce anything or read any clues or anything like that. I basically just had to look around the room and find 3 objects that were the only objects in the room. And then there's a basket cube game, which is a great idea. It's first-person basketball, but the controls are really clunky. There's no finesse to it. There's just a button to push to throw the ball towards the basket and a button to push to knock down someone else who might have the ball. But that's really it. Again, it was a great idea. It really wasn't that much fun. But hey, the mini games don't make or break the game. And as far as I can tell, you're not going to be stuck behind a mini game and that you have to beat before you can progress to the next section. And the game doesn't seem to take itself seriously enough to make the mini games matter. So Bears in Space is pure, unadulterated fun, but underneath the surface chaos, there's a surprisingly clever game lurking. Some levels require a little platforming finesse, and there's even some environmental puzzles that'll have you scratching your furry head. So if you're looking for a wild ride through the cosmos with more claws than brains, then Bears in Space might just scratch that itch. Check out the link in the description if you want to pick it up on Epic or Steam, and also keep an eye on the channel for upcoming videos about X-Defiant, Tales of Kantara Zao, and much more. And as always, thanks for watching. Roar. That was me growling. That wasn't from the game.